Hello and welcome to Parent Academy Online. Today joining us we have the wonderful Ines de Jesus, Senior Fellow with Attendance Works, to talk to us about chronic absenteeism within our schools. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well. We're really excited to have you because this is one of the biggest issues in our school district is chronic absenteeism. And so for our parents, can you provide us with a definition on what chronic absenteeism is?
Sure. So chronic absenteeism, as we define it, is missing 2 days a month, which equals to 10% of the time, which equals to 18 days because our school year is 180 days. So it's missing 2 days a month for any reason, excused, unexcused, or suspensions.
And so tell me, how did you get into this work? What's your background and what led you to Attendance Works?
So I used to be a district employee. I was a teacher and an administrator for the district. And I've always known that attendance is key to learning. In other words, you have to be in front of a teacher, focused, in order to gain the knowledge. So after retiring from the district, I decided to join Attendance Works to help our families in Detroit address the issues of chronic absenteeism in our schools.
And so I think it's awesome that you not only do this work now, but you have the history and background of a teacher. You've been in the classroom with the students, you've observed and you've seen the effects of a student being present or a student being absent to the point where they have to meet with you or figure out extra credit work to catch up. And so can you speak to some of the common reasons that a student misses school, be it excused or unexcused?
Some of the common reasons include, in our city, transportation is a big one. Health issues are probably number one and number two. Basic needs, families that do not have basic needs, water, power in their house. Uniforms is also a need, and a lot of trauma. Our children are facing a lot of trauma in the city that leads to high chronic absences.
And so what are some of the strategies that Attendance Works are doing to increase attendance among students?
So we come into school districts, just like we were in Detroit now, and we do a lot of training, professional development for the staff. We work, like in Detroit, we work with attendance agents, deans of culture, and we establish attendance teams at schools with the purpose of having that attendance team, with the help of the principal, develop strategies that will impact those students that are missing school.
And so let's outline what that looks like for a school district. I understand that you've worked with Mr. Dwight Jones, who leads our code of conduct work within the school district. And so the attendance agents who he works with directly also partner and have been trained by Attendance Works?
Yes. So we have trained the deans of culture, the attendance agents in the school district, and now we are working with 27 DPS schools, DPSCD schools, providing a deeper dive into not only why are students absent in their schools, but also providing strategies to address those barriers so that students are in school every day.
And so what are, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 strategies that have really proven to help so far?
Oh my goodness. So many good strategies. Incentives, for example. We believe that schools should celebrate good attendance and improved attendance. So we do class competitions, we do school competitions where the children are informed that if you come to school every day, you're here on time, and every day, that chances are you're going to get some incentives. So we have incentive programs, and we have really shown success. Another thing is that we have student mentors, where we have staff members, part of the attendance teams, who have adopted 5 or 6 of the students that are chronically absent and provided them with support, extra support, and we've seen actually very good success where all the students that were being mentored improved their attendance.
That's wonderful. Do you see a higher rate of absenteeism amongst a certain grade level? So is it elementary or high school or middle school?
So in Detroit, we see a high level of elementary.
Really?
And then we see a high level of high school. So it's early grades, elementary, where the children really have no control. It's the
Yeah.
parents that have to bring the children to school, right? Then we see the high school piece also. So, and we know that early grades are critical, starting from preschool. We know that a child goes to preschool and learns different skills to prepare them for kindergarten, right? So from kindergarten on, we know that they have to then continue working, building those skill sets so that when they get to the third grade, they know how to read, and then they lead. So chronic absences impacts. If you're chronically absent, chances are you're not going to read by the third grade level. I mean, if you cannot read by the third grade level, chances are you start getting suspended, and chances are you might drop out. So we use a warning system. If you're not successful in the first 3 grades, the warning system says this is going to happen to you. Chances are that it will happen to you. Great chances. So the issue is for us is we believe that children have to come to school every day.
Okay.
On time. We have an issue with parents, students arriving to school late a lot. So we need to be able to say to parents, it's important that they get to school on time every day and stay all day. We also have an issue with parents taking students out of school earlier in the day, before the day ends. And I don't think parents are thinking about the fact that there's lost learning time. If I take you out of school 45 minutes before the day is over, the teacher did not have time to complete the lesson, so you missed that. If the teacher gave homework, you missed that. So think about that student coming back the next day. The next day they're in that class, the teacher's going to say, where's your homework? Oh, you left early. So we're adding extra drama and stress to children that they don't need when we take children out of school early, or when we keep children home unless they're ill or some major issues going on.
So just to be clear, that when a child is pulled out of school early for an early dismissal by the parent, the child's affected, the teacher's affected because they have to figure out a way to catch that child up, as well as potentially other students in the classroom, because the teacher then has to stop moving forward with their lesson to catch up the one student who, may have missed the remaining 45 minutes of the previous day's lesson.
So that's the key part, that not only are we impacting our child, your child that you're taking home with you
Yes.
early, you're impacting the teacher's time to teach other children. And then a lot of times when the teacher's pulled, you're creating another issue for the rest of the students. So it is not only impacting your children, your child, but it's impacting all the children in that classroom. And now think of a teacher who has 4 students who are being pulled out early that day, or 5, or 3 that are coming in late. So we're creating added stress to the children, but we're also creating added stress to the staff. And more importantly, the lost time of the academic lost time is key. You add up all those times for you coming late and all the times for you leaving early, it adds up to a lot of academic loss that cannot be made up. Over time, it cannot be made up.
That is, I think, a very key point to touch on, is that the academic time loss cannot be made up. But I think we've done a really good job of looking at the elementary side of absenteeism and how that creates a rocky foundation for students and a trajectory where they are more likely to not learn how to read and to hit certain benchmarks, and they're also more likely to drop out. And so for high schoolers, because you said that's another demographic that has high absentee rates, what have you observed with that demographic?
So as we done focus groups and listening sessions with young people, we'll ask them why is it that you come to school? Why don't you come to school? What are the issues in the building? And of course, they'll say, some of them will say bullying, some of them will say, it's just not interesting. School's just not interesting. It's just not, so we have all those issues. So our goal is to somehow get the school to actively involve the young people in what's going on in the school. Because we think if that happens, then young people will come to school. So we find that a lot of children, a lot of high school kids don't even know, are not even thinking about career. They're not just engaging in that piece yet. And so we feel that an engaged student, a high school student that's engaged, whether in sports, clubs at the school, where he or she feels that someone's paying attention to them and caring the environment, they come to school. because high school kids have more opportunities to get they don't have to have someone get them dressed in the morning, right? They can take care of
Exactly.
all those needs. So the issue is making the environment, the school culture and climate open to a young person's voice, so they feel connected with the school.
And I know that for high schoolers, we also offer transportation bus cards so that they're able to get to and from school using the public transportation available. And so that's just one of the things we're also doing to support making it easier for students to get to school. Can you tell me just what are some of the top or most common reasons for parents to take their children out of school?
So some of the reasons are health issues. They might make an appointment.
On the topic of health issues, can you just share with us what are some best practices, such as if your child says, you know, they have a slight headache, is that grounds to keep them at home, or should you send them to school?
Well, no. If the child says they have a slight headache, try to figure out ask the child, you know, questions like, how long have you had this headache? What's going on with you? And chances are you should send that child to school, right? If the child has the flu or a fever, no, right?
Yeah.
So at every school, though, at every one of our schools, there are documents indicating to you when you should take your child to school. We have lots of resources as to when to send a child to school versus when to keep a child at home. A lot of children, again, make excuses why they don't want to go to school. I think the parent has to kind of begin to do a deeper dive with the child and find out really what's going on. Why is it that you have a stomach ache? You know, you didn't eat junk last night. Why? Why do you have a stomach ache? Let's go to school, and if you don't feel better, you can call me and I'll come pick you up. So kind of encourage the child to go, because if every time a child says they have a stomach ache or a headache, they don't go to school, we would have even a higher number of students being absent. Right now we have 8 million children in the United States who are chronically absent a year. 8 million.
Wow.
So some of the reasons are for health reasons. When we meet with parents, we ask parents, please, is it possible that you can make the appointment to the doctor after school, so the child does not miss the whole day? Some children need mental support, mental health support. Is it possible that you can speak to the agency where you're getting the support and see if they can do it late in the evening? Anything to get the parent to bring the child to school every day. So those are health reasons. Transportation is always going to be an issue. Parents don't want the child to walk, but their car is down, right? So we ask parents to try to create a buddy system, a neighbor that you trust down the street who has a child in the same school, and you take turns and you support each other with transportation.
So a buddy system or a carpool is a good suggestion. Okay, and what are some other reasons that you've seen where parents take their students out of school, which may not be proper grounds for a child to lose such valuable learning time?
I've seen parents, as I visit schools and I'm sitting in the main office, come in and say they're taking the child out because they don't want to get stuck in the traffic, a congestion problem, which to me is not a good reason why your child should be taken out of school. There are some parents who say, I'm picking my child up early because I have to get to work by a certain time. And for those parents, we say, let's create a buddy system for you. Is there someone else that can pick up your child at the end of the day? Because we know that if they don't work, they can't eat, right? They can't take care of other issues come about. So, but to me, taking your child out to school because of congestion, traffic congestion, or because you have an event later on that evening, or because you have to go to the hairdresser on time, those are not acceptable. And I think parents don't even realize that taking your child out of school early, they lose that academic time in that classroom. 10, 15 minutes in a classroom makes a difference.
Can you outline some wraparound services that are available for parents to support their children and to make sure that they are attending school every day?
So I always start off with thinking about the internal. Think of a school, one of our schools. They have usually a counselor. Some of them have social workers. They have now a dean of culture, an attendance agent. They have agencies inside the school that provide support, right? So each school should have a referral system where if a parent says, my barrier is that we don't have power, we don't have light, we don't have water in our home. In our schools, we're lucky to have the DHHS person, which is the Department of Human Services coach, who will provide support. So I think that for every barrier that a parent brings to the table, there's a solution, with the exception to me of transportation. We don't provide, besides the bus cards, we don't provide a bus to pick up every child. But I think that there's wraparound services internally in the building, and then every school has a list of agencies in the local area that provide wraparound services. So the key is having that list ready, determining the need of the parent, and then referring that parent by contacting that agency yourself. Don't just refer parents without you making that initial contact. And talking to that agency and saying, I have a parent that needs their water turned on. How can I seek that help? So I think we have enough resources. I think that a lot of times parents don't realize how many resources we have. So we always have to inform parents. We have the resources, come and get them. Reach out to your school. Don't be afraid to come visit your school. Don't be afraid to talk to the principal, talk to the secretary. So I think that the more we do this kind of introduction to parents, that the resources are there, it's just a matter of them reaching out to us. Don't be embarrassed that you have a need. Don't be shy, come. These resources are out there for you to utilize.
I think you said it perfectly. We do have a wealth of resources inside our school districts, and I think that's also one of the powers of DPSCD, is what we can offer and how knowledgeable a lot of our counselors are and our DHHS workers inside the schools. And our parents should not be afraid or embarrassed or shy about asking for the support, because we want to make sure that we have positioned them to best support their students so that they can win. My next question is around truancy. Can you just define truancy by state law standards for our parents, and the correlation between truancy and chronic absenteeism?
So we don't even like to use the word truancy. We believe in that you're chronically absent after 2 times, and we want that mindset to be with the parents that 2 or more times impacts academics, 2 or more times impact growth, 2 or more times impact graduation, 2 or more times increases the chances that you'll get suspended, because a lot of times children will come in the classroom. If they've been out for a long time, maybe middle school, high school kids, they've been out for a long time and they're kind of lost, they start acting up, and that leads to suspension. So truancy means when you've been absent so many times that the district has to then seek legal matters against the families. We see that as like the last resort. That means that we as community, we as teachers, we as school people, we as the district have given up on these children in the sense that our backs are against the wall now. Now we have to take legal action. We hope that we can provide the support up front, that we don't get to that point unless your child, by law, the law says the child has a right to come to school, and that the law makes the school district go out and find the child. Well, we're hoping that parents will, that children will come to school often enough where we don't even have to get to that point of that conversation. And I think that we're there with the school district having attendance agents at every school who are making calls to the parents, who are visiting the homes, who are providing support. Now we're doing the home visiting programs.
Yes, and the PTA.
And the PTA, and all the other support that we want to get away from the fact that we do have a group of truant students. We want to be able to support them, and by supporting them means giving them a real deep dive of support, peeling back that onion and saying, what's really going on with this family? And we're willing to do that, but we want to do universal messaging so that children and families do not get to that point.
Okay, so what are some of the expectations and the systems that will be in place to notify parents of a student that may have missed class or is on the cusp of being chronically absent?
So as you know, the district has adopted a new attendance policy. The board has approved it. I think it's called the 369, where teachers, after the 3rd absence, teachers are required to call the home. We, in working with Dwight Jones and his team, the Deans of Culture, the attendance agents, we are proposing something even sooner than that. It's okay that the teacher's going to call after the 3rd time. We're saying, what about a plan where we're calling the houses after the 1st day that you're out? So parents out there should be expecting more phone calls from attendance agents saying, hey, is everything okay? Your child was out yesterday. What can we do? What can we help you? Is everything okay? If you want to come into the building and talk to us about why your child's out. So it's a more compassionate call with lots of grace that should be going out to parents saying, we're here to support you. Come, bring us the issue. Let us try to resolve that issue, because we know that if your child's here, your child's going to academically grow.
I think that's wonderful. I am extremely passionate about one of the district's new initiatives, the School Advisory Council. And I love that the school advisory councils will be tasked with doing work such as reviewing the school improvement plan, reviewing the school budget, and looking at the data to figure out what is going on with attendance in their school and understanding why their students are chronically absent and putting systems in place to boost attendance amongst our students. And I know we have seats on that 19-person decision-making body for different stakeholders. Some of my favorite are the outside voices and external stakeholders of the school district, which are parents, students, alumni, and faith-based business and or community partners. And I think it's really important so that they all have an active understanding of what's going on in their community. And, store owners, if they see a child in their store during school hours without an adult present, asking that child, why are you here? And you should be in school, and I can't serve you because you need to be in the classroom right now. So what are some ways that parents can get involved to boost attendance for their student, both on their end as well as inside of the school?
Great question. So from their end, we'll say they're at home now, right?
Yes.
So from their end, if you have a child that's in elementary, make sure that they're getting good sleep, that they're getting good food before they go to bed as much as you can, that their clothes are out because they're ready to go, because we want children to come to school early, right? On time, early or on time. From the school perspective, now the parents brought the child in the school, the parent needs to figure out, and there's so many ways to get involved, from volunteering at a school, helping out in the classroom, from helping out in the hallway, from joining a committee. Parents can join not only the PTA, SAC. Parents can join the attendance team. We have 1 or 2 parents that are part of attendance teams. And they're open, we're open to having parents. We want parents, and a lot of the schools that have attendance teams already up and running are involving their parents, and they're involving the young people in the attendance team. What I like about the SAC, is that we want the concerns that the attendance team finds as they do the work. They're going to document all the barriers that they find. We want those barriers to be presented to the SAC, right? We want them to come so that parents, business people, your whole group, the total group understands what are the issues and can help us begin to resolve some of those barriers. So we see an opportunity for the attendance team to do a larger group connection and partake as a member, as a group of those people. So additionally, we want to offer training.
Okay.
So that everyone understands, not only parents, we're offering parent training on attendance, how to improve attendance. We have workshops that we can do. We also want those workshops for the teachers and staff so that everybody is involved in attendance, and that we see attendance that has to be embedded. It cannot be another committee, another thing to do. It's got to be embedded into everything you do in that school, right? Just like the academics. So don't just think academics. You need to think attendance and academics equal success, right?
Yes.
So that's the way we see it. So the council will be an awesome opportunity for our attendance team to connect and rework and cohesively address the needs of the families.
I also would like to just add that in addition to volunteering, one could also, or a parent rather, can volunteer in a more formal capacity as a parent action leader, which is something that the Office of Family and Community Engagement offers. Volunteer parents a small stipend to do, a limited number of hours of work per week inside the school, supporting different initiatives and workshops that we have through our office. I am also curious to know, when parents go into schools, who should they hold accountable and who do they address to make sure that absenteeism is at the forefront of the school's agenda?
So that definitely has to be the principal. The principal is accountable for everything that happens in that building, correct? However, in order to get support, so accountability and support are two different things.
Okay.
Accountability, the principal, right, is accountable for everything that happens in that building. Support, if I'm a parent coming in and I need support, I'm going to talk to my counselor, or I'm going to talk to the attendance agent, or I'm going to talk to the dean of culture. Because they're the ones that are providing, they're a part of the attendance team, they know the barriers, they understand the resources available and can guide the parent. So I would start off with the attendance agent, dean of culture, but knowing that at the end of the day, if my issues are not resolved, I can always speak with the principal.
Wonderful. And so I want to touch on another issue that also strongly affects chronic absenteeism, so homelessness. We are aware that a large demographic in the Detroit metro area of people are homeless. And what does that do? How is there a correlation between homelessness and attendance?
It's a huge correlation between homelessness and attendance. Keep in mind that homelessness, first issue is that a lot of school staff do not understand the definition of homelessness, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're on the street. We all understand the homeless person on the street. That's easy. But that if you're surfing in someone's sofa, you're sleeping in someone else's house, and you're going from house to house, that is homeless, being homeless. And those are the kids that, because of the instability, they're absent a lot, right? So first thing we want to do is we want to train staff at the school level to understand what homelessness is and how to talk to parents and get to that point where parents can trust you enough to say, hey, listen, I'm really homeless, or I'm really living in someone else's house. So that request has to come from a staff person who's asking the appropriate questions of the parent. It just can't be, are you homeless? Well, most people are going to say no, even if they are.
Exactly.
But where are you living? How are your living conditions? Are you okay? Have you been living there long? And then determine that person is homeless. Now you begin you wrap around your hands around that person. You provide wraparound support. Now the child starts coming to school more often.
Yes.
So until we addressing homelessness, past the homeless person on the street, and we look at schools and find out how many of our youth and families are actually homeless, we're not going to decrease the chronic absence.
And we know that although, the parents have the knowledge and understanding as to what their situation is, a lot of the burden is on us, our school staff, our teachers, to pay attention to the signs and to see, what's going on with the child and to ask the proper questions, but to also ask them in a way that is respectful and that, does not offend the family or the parent, because it's also, it's a very sensitive topic and subject, and we have found that, a lot of people don't want to openly share that information, and so having that trust factor is key.
It's all about being compassionate, doing things with humility, being compassionate and showing grace in everything, and knowing that person in front of you, that could be your sister, it could be your mom, it could be a family member that can find themselves in that situation. So it's all about how we present and how we ask people questions that leads a family to saying, we need support, we need help.
Ines, where can our parents and our viewers go to learn more information about attendance works?
They can go to our attendance website, attendanceworks.org. And they actually, at this point, all our 106 schools, at least one person from each school has been trained on Attendance Works. So they should be able to go to their school and pull information on attendance and see documents that are going to help them and resources that will help parents.
Excellent. And parents can also find resources for attendance and to learn more about chronic absenteeism through Parent Academy. To learn more, please go to the DetroitK12.org website or visit our office or give us a call at 313-873-7490. Thank you again for watching.